Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
Today we're talking about Transgalactica, the latest game from Daniel Tassini.
So Transgalactica is a worker placement game. Probably the main twist with the way you place your workers here is you'll have two different types. You'll have a main worker, and then you'll have a follow worker. So whenever one person places their main worker, in the actual worker placement spots, there is a follow section, and then other players can follow. And they can actually follow with their main workers if they want to. But by and large, you're going to be following with these small workers. So that's the main twist of the worker placement aspect. But then when you place your workers, most of it is advancing on tracks.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's engine building components to it because a lot of things are restricted by your levels on tracks, and some tracks are restricted by your levels on other tracks. So it's a lot of, I want to do this, so I need to get this up, so I need to get that up, so I'm going to go here to get this thing, so I can afford to pay to move this track up, so I can move this track up later, so that I can do the thing that I want to do.
For example, the military track, in order to cross certain levels there, you need to be far on the blue track, which is the technology track that gets you abilities. The green track is going to... the politics track is going to move your marker that will affect when you do the mining action over here. That's how you gain resources. And then there is you notice the center of the board. A lot of it does link in with this. So a lot of these tracks link in with each other, but they also link in with your ship and your little probe lander things that you're going to move around and plant down to gain resources and different abilities there. Also, this is a pretty heavy game, so the way we're talking about it right now is about as in-depth as we're going to get on the rules. This is absolutely not a how to play. This is just a feel. This is a feeling. It's feelings time.
So I'm going to preface this by saying I haven't played a lot of heavy games very recently. I've been focusing more on lighter games, kind of like the under an hour, play several games in one night, where this is definitely a crunchier, like we're going to sit down and dig into this game.
Oh, totally unrelated. Wes has 4 kids, so maybe there's a reason why he doesn't have time for a 3-hour game.
Absolutely.
And this isn't really 3 hours. What does it say? 100 minutes? Yeah, I would say it's a 2-hour or under game.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing.
And it's definitely a game that's going to take you a second wrapping your head around it.
A little bit of AP.
A little bit of AP, going through the rule book, and you're trying to remember, what does this do? What does that do? Once you actually get into it, like by the end of your first game, it is flowing together a lot easier.
Yeah. Now, that is going to lead into my first of several complaints that I have, and that is the iconography and graphic design. That we did run into those issues a decent amount of like looking at a symbol and being like, so what exactly does this mean? So what color is this? Is this yellow or purple? And more so like there's like rules and things like, okay, there's a lot of tokens, like the mining token, for instance, right? You have a column on the left side of your board that is your mining like special abilities, right? Each tile, as long as your little marker thing is at it or below it, is at it or below it, you're going to get all that stuff there. But also when you gain the token from the mining thing and you place it there, you're going to trigger that as well. And like the planets in the middle, there is a way where you're going to gain resources based on like the color. But then when you land, if you land a probe there, but then there's also like there's mining symbols on there, and there's like a worker placement spot, and there's an income symbol. And I think like even when you first land your probe there, you will get what's on the symbol. Like it's things like that. Like, oh wait, what am I getting now and why is a little bit like cumbersome at times.
Yeah, even like the income phase where you kind of collect from all over the board. There's a lot of different things that can give you income. So you get income here, you get income here. That's not actually income. That's a one-time thing. Don't worry about that. But I feel like every income phase, I was always like, all right, give me a second. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah,
like,
because
there's income here. Did I get this yet? I think so. Did I get this one yet? And like, oh, I forgot. You also get income from this planet. Like,
yeah, there's at least 3 places on your board to gain income. There's planets, and then every track, if you're far up enough, you could gain income there. So yeah, little clunky things like that in just like the iconography, and grasping the rules without having to look into the rule book is That's a big complaint. Wes,
Yeah.
speaking of big complaints, I know, let's just get it over with. Stickers.
Cheese.
There are so many. I literally spent like an hour putting stickers on components while sitting there, like my wife was baking cookies and I was sitting there stickering components. And then I got tired of stickering and had to put it away and then go back later and continue stickering components because there are so many stickers. But also, when I went back to re-sticker the components, or to continue stickering, I should say, these little outposts are round and the stickers go around them. Except for stickers do not like these components. And even here, like, this sticker is coming off. When I already was tired of stickering and then came back and had to, like, re-push on every sticker and they're still falling off. To be fair,
To be fair,
I know they know this is an issue because it says in the rulebook and on the sticker page, you don't have to put the stickers on anything. The game is perfectly playable without the stickers. So it's that balancing of like, it frustrated me to have to sticker everything, but I didn't have to sticker anything. I could play it, but I felt like for pictures and stuff, I would have loved screen printed components for this. I understand that probably drives the price up as well, but they're stickers and I'm going to complain about them.
Yeah, I guess it does sound like a real, Crimea River, like, okay, they gave them to you. You don't have to use them.
Yeah.
But like, I think you're more just mad at yourself for starting the stickering adventure than realizing I can't.
Once you start, you can't stop now.
Yeah. But I have two other complaints that are like the real complaints. The first things are a little nitpicky, whatever. But
Yep.
I was actually kind of surprised at how much I didn't enjoy this game, mostly compared to other games of this heaviness and of this style, and even other games that he's made. This is it's very bad at 2 players. It's just not made for 2 players. There's a lot of aspects of it that feel like a multiplayer experience.
And the rulebook even confirms that, and they say a 2-player, they don't recommend 2 players for your first playthrough, and they say at 2 players it's going to be a lot more intense and tug of war.
Yeah.
Where a larger player count, it's going to shine more.
Yeah, there are specific aspects of it that like, so there's the military track, and it's one of those things where whoever's ahead gains a point and whoever's in the back loses a point, but it's even more than that because you gain whoever's in head gains a point for every space that they are ahead. So like that feels really not well.
And in a 2-player game, it's just you gain points, you lose points. Every time.
Which is, again, maybe it's balanced or whatever, but
it incentivizes you. Like, you can't neglect that. It's not like someone's like, I'm going military, and someone else is like, I don't care about military.
Yeah. And another aspect of here that I really didn't like as for 2 players is that there are these mid-game scoring cards. If you're the first person to meet this goal, you're going to place one of your little workers over here, and you're going to gain the points and some extra abilities and stuff, or little actions and stuff, right? And then the second player to do it, which we double checked in the rulebook, so unless we really missed it somehow, there's no second player, no modification for this. But the second player to get that, they get the same benefits. The only difference is the first person will then get to gain a coin, which is a point at the end of the game if you don't use it, and it's sort of a wild resource. So relatively good, but I'm like, I don't want you to get the exact same amount of points, and maybe I get 1 point more. Like, even in especially in a 2-player game, but even in a multiplayer game, if I'm gunning to get this thing and I get it first, I want it to be a pretty big leg up for me over you.
The biggest advantage you get is you get to pick which reward that mission gets. Like, you can, they kind of go descending of how good they are. So you get to pick, this one doesn't go to here. This one could go over here.
All right, nerds, I'm going to cut in here real quick since we're talking about this aspect of it. I do want to bring it back to the graphic design stuff just for a second. I don't know if we mentioned this, but if you look at the score track here, every other step is counting your points, which is brilliant. Nobody's ever going to mess up there. That's not going to cause any problems. Also, look at this tile. There is no way to land an outpost on this tile, which I'm hoping is just a misprint, because otherwise this tile is pretty useless. But also bringing it back to this, and actually during the setup, there's different types of these scoring cards, and it says to like grab one of each type, and it doesn't say which type is what. It took me a while to realize the color on the bottom here, and then the dots. Actually, if you can look really carefully, if you can see that there's dots, but then also next to the dots there are numbers. And what do the numbers mean? Your guess is as good as mine. But okay, when you're taking this action, when you're completing one of these, let's say you completed this, you can choose any one of these. Now, most of the time, people are just going to choose the 9 points. But sure, let's say it is more advantageous for you right now to forego 4 points to get this. You're going to put this over here. You're saying I'm going to get 5 points instead of 9, and I'm going to get to do this action, right? I'm going to advance on this track, basically getting this action for free. But then we later saw this tile, right? And if you see that little trapezoid symbol, that means doing this action at a discount of that resource. And that's the discount symbol. If it shows that weird trapezoid thing behind a circle, that means a total discount. You're not paying that at all, which of course is brilliant. I mean, if it was like a resource with a minus sign or the circle and a line through it thing, nobody would understand. Nobody would understand. They'd say, "Where's the trapezoids with the circles?" Because that's the real symbol. But anyway, so does that mean that this isn't for free? I still have to pay for this, right? And if I do I get the discount, or am I paying for it as if I'm doing the follow action? That doesn't seem right. But if this is for free, where's my trapezoid circle? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. A couple of complaints so far. But I think that this is the biggest one. It's just overall, it's really tight. Everything costs money and resources and stuff, and it's kind of hard to get resources. And actually building up your resources, like placing your guys out here onto these boards and gaining the income symbols and triggering the planets out here to gain resources is a huge part, like building that up. Mm-hmm. But when you bum rush that, you're a little bit penalized for doing it, right? Like it kind of pulls you back a little bit in terms of income stuff. So like a little bit of a catch-up mechanism kind of. But it feels like I'm being punished for trying to do the thing that we really need, which is, get more resources, right? And like, okay, it does feel good once you have an engine built up and you have a decent amount of resources and the game's over. Yeah.
It definitely is a restrictive game. It's not a game where you feel like I can do all these things. It's a game where you're saying, I want to do this thing and I'm going to spend the next entire round going around and gathering all the things and getting everything set to where I can do that thing.
In this space, it's not like bad. It's not poorly designed. There's aspects of it that I don't like, but I mean, I can't, obviously, I'm really bad with balance, so I can't say if anything's overpowered, anything in that, crappily designed in that way. But it's just not my jam in this space. There's a lot of other games that do a crunchy Euro, combo-tastic game way better, and even other games that this guy has designed. I think Marco Polo's better. I think Teotihuacan is better. I think Toledo might be one of my favorite of this guy's games.
I enjoyed it more than you did. I definitely see the complaints you had, and you even said, well, it's because you haven't been playing other games in this category recently to compare it to as much as I have. I think it's a perfectly enjoyable game if that's what you're looking for, is that like crunchy, thinky, restrictive, like moving all your tracks, moving everything around to where you can get that play. And when you get everything set up and you can execute on it, it feels great. Like it is rewarding when you're like, I did the thing, I accomplished it, yes.
No, absolutely. There were times in this game when I was having a good time, when I was like, ooh, I get this, I get that, and I'm going to take this gold card and I'm going to immediately complete it by spending these resources. But it's another thing. You have to spend resources to complete gold cards. You have to do an action to gain the card, and then whenever you have the thing, you have to then spend resources to play it. God, that I think when you were he taught me the rules, and when I was doing that, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this. Oh no. There's a lot of people who do like that. There's a whole categories of games where everything is really tight and restrictive, but that's just not my jam for a big, heavy game.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. We were talking about it as we were even setting up to film, where you were saying, in the list of games, even from this designer, this one's just so far down the list.
Mm-hmm. Like, even the thing you were just describing, like, oh, I can advance on this track, and that lets me get this card, and that lets me do that. And, like, there are times when you can do that. You can do that a lot more in a lot of other games that are just better. I don't know. Like, again, maybe it's a good thing that I didn't like this because, we live in a world where there's such a plethora of great games that, we have to swat out even things that are from people who know what they're doing, that are good quality designs, they just aren't up to snuff, Yeah,
you don't need to own every game. You're not going to.
Yeah.
I remember even playing this, having like several people in mind of like, this person would love this game. They're Ben. It's always Ben. But like, this is going to be right up their wheelhouse. And there are going to be people who rave about this game. And I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. It's bad.
I would say you're wrong.
Yeah, but it's not what you like.
It's just not my jam. Yeah.
But if it's something that you think you would like, there will be a link down in the description where you can pick up a copy.
And while you're down there, don't forget to check out our link for Game Toppers. They're the sponsor of Neverboard Gaming. It's what we're filming on right here. They're absolutely amazing. But also down there is going to be a button that says
subscribe, and when you push it, you'll never be bored.
Yeah, baby. Boom.